Morning, everyone. Wow, there we go. So nice to have such a dedicated crowd in this weather, but I guess, how many of you are Floridians? Okay, great. You know, a couple weeks ago I was in New York, and in New York, I spent 6 years. Anyone from New York? So then Florida is nothing for you guys, right? I mean, I grew up in California. If it rained, once a decade practically, it was already a shock. People didn't know how to drive if it started to drizzle a little bit. Anyone from California? So you know what I'm talking about. Okay, great. All right, so how many of you are brand new? First time? Great, thank you. Thank you for joining us. So my name is Chaim Solomon. I'm one of the teachers here in the Boca Center, and we're here every Sunday, almost every Sunday. We did miss last week because there was another event. For one reason, want to make your life better. Anybody interested? Yes, but let me ask you this. Are you interested to just have your life better for a week, 2, a month, or a year? Or would you like it to be better forever? Some people not sure, right? Depends on where you are right now. Yes? So we want to make it for better. That's the goal of the Kabbalah Center. How can we teach universal wisdom that's the basis of every religion, every spirituality, every form of science, etc.? Because if you think about it, if we believe there's one creator from which we all come, whatever name we call it, whichever way we believe or connect to it or whatever you want to say, if there's one creator, that creator had to have a blueprint for this universe, did they not? Has to be. There's a blueprint, just like this building. Any of you believe there's no blueprint for this building, that we just called a contractor and he started throwing pieces together? No, there's a blueprint, is there not? What is science looking for? If we really stand back for a moment, and I know this is a little different than we usually start out, but what is science looking for? If you think about it, they're also looking for the blueprint of the universe, but they're looking at it from the not understanding and like this building. They didn't see the blueprint. They're taking apart the walls of the building to redraw the blueprint. The Kabbalah is the original blueprint of creation. And that's why it brings us lasting transformation in our lives, because it's simply teaching us the technology of the universe, spiritual technology, and that's the only glitch. That's where we have to exercise our free will to apply the tools. And then, as I've learned in 32 years in the center from my teachers, Rav Berg and Karen Berg, you apply it, and the proof is in the pudding. If it works for you, keep going. If it doesn't work for you, you learn something new, you change your perspective, you're a nicer person, and then you go off into your life. So either way. So we're here on Sundays to keep reawakening. We're not giving us anything we don't know. We're awakening what we've forgotten. The truth of our being, which we're going to get into a little more. But we always start out with, ta-ta-da-da. Mordecai has to play 2 roles today. There he is. And he's got the magic tools to do that. So we're going to say this together. It's injecting in our consciousness a greater awareness that perspective, our way we look at ourselves, the world around us, and understand the world will impact how we act. How we act will determine what comes back to us. And therefore, our focus for our benefit is just how to share what the Creator put inside of us. So if I can ask you to say it with me together. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. And what a better day than today to greet the greatest people who are with us right now. Please stand up and welcome each other. Okay, so we want to greet all the people watching us from around the world on Facebook. Wish them a happy Spiritual Sunday. Hey, okay. I just want to say, because I'm always giving a shout out to people who are far and wide, but we also have people in other parts of Florida who are joining us. So for those of you who are in Florida, but not here in Boca with us, so we want to also a special shout out to you. Appreciate you are watching us. And I do want to throw in a couple people around the world who've written recently. Tito from the Philippines. We have Sharon from England. We have Olga from St. Louis and Magdalena from Mexico. So let's also give them a shout out for joining us. So we are getting out there. Okay, anyone interested to make their life better? Okay, now we have 2 parts to today. One, it's interesting, we teach here there's no such thing as randomness. Even the scientists, I believe it was back in the 90s, came to the understanding that what they called chaos theory, that what most people would look at or say is chaos, disarray, was not random. So then we've always talked about here, everything is cause and effect. But we tend to throw in randomness and coincidence as the same thing. So how many of you drove your car here? How many of you crossed an intersection? So in another word, is not an intersection a coincident? Is it not? Two incidences happening at the same time. If you go west, you'll meet the coincident of Lyons Road and West Palmetto Park. If you go east, you'll come to the coincidence of Power Line and West Palmetto Park. They're not random. They've been planned out and they're set out. So when we cross that intersection, it's a coincident. So I've been in this long enough to know that things happen coincidentally for a higher purpose. So yesterday I had a conversation with somebody, and he brought this idea to my consciousness, which is what I'm about to share with you. If you read in the book of Exodus, it says, God speaking to Moses, God spoke to Moses a lot. So this one particular time, Moses says to God, God, I have to be able to see your face. Show me your face. Show me your presence. And God says to what? To Moses what? He says, no, you can't see my face. Nobody can see my face and live, but I'll cover your face. As I pass by, I'll let you see my back. So he brought up a few different things, and the point I wanted to bring to you is, especially because it's Memorial Day. So one way to look at that, because those of you who are new, it's good to understand that the Kabbalists believe in the Bible as historical fact, but not limited to that. It's also giving us, for eternity, spiritual lessons to affect and impact our life. So we can also look at biblical figures as parts of our own being. So here's Moses. What do we all want? Why are you here? Because we want to be able to stay connected or connect stronger to this thing we call the Creator, the light force, whatever name you call God. We want to be more connected. So isn't that what Moses was saying? I want to be able to see you face to face. In our language, I want to be able to see the Creator's light, blessing, and fulfillment every moment of every day. And what did the Creator say? No, you can't see me face to face, but I'll let you see my back. So coinciding with this being Memorial Day weekend, and why do we have Memorial Day? To remember the sacrifice that people have made before us. Bless you, see? To give us, it's true, to give us the ability to live in America. Whatever we think of America today, I still believe it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest country in the planet. So on the backs of them, so to speak, on their effort, we are sitting here. So that's where I wanted to start, just to put that in mind, but I also want us to realize then, what is it saying about our ability to be able to connect constantly to the light of the Creator, to all the blessings, to all the goodness that the Creator has already given us. We have to remember that all of our ancestors, all the people who've come before us, our parents, if your parents are with you, bless you. If your parents are not, from your parents, your grandparents, great-grandparents, etc., all the people who have passed from your life before you, they've all had an impact one way or another in your life. And that's what I came to understand when it says in the Bible, God told Moses, no, you can't see my face, but you can see my back. In other words, everything that ever happened to us up to this moment has made us in one way or another who we are today, whether it was something good or bad. How many of you ever had something bad happen to you that you were able to make good from it? Any of you? Exactly. So then it doesn't matter what they have done. It's up to what we do with it. And that's the first part of what I wanted us to discuss this morning. Those people who've been before us, our family, friends, relatives who've passed before us in one way or another have had impact on us, and they are still having impact. How many people do you know, because hopefully it's not too much of us anymore, that are still resentful, angry, or hurt by somebody who's no longer in the physical world? They're still holding resentment. They're still angry. What they did to me, how they treated me. I mean, the typical thing is, if the parents are not in the world anymore, what they did to me, how they treated me, what they said to me, how they behaved towards me. And unfortunately, many people have just accepted that as truth. They believe they're not as good, not as powerful, or not capable. And so they will live their life remembering or thinking only of that. So then those people who have departed from the world, those people who have left the world, are still on a daily basis having impact in a negative way on those people. But you and I have learned, who's allowing that to happen? We are. We have to learn to accept. I'm accepting the fact, whatever they did, and I'm holding on to it today. And just as easily, I can let go and I can overcome it. I can repair whatever was done. And according to the Kabbalists, according to the Zohar, when we repair those things that we've done in the past or accepted in the past, there's nothing in the universe that can withstand that repair, can stop us from having all the blessings and all the goodness that the Creator gave to us. Nothing. Because as we often and will continue to share, just like in the physical world, you walk in a dark room and you turn on the light, what happens? Can the darkness fight the light? Can the darkness withstand the power of the light? Or does the darkness give in to the light and convert itself instantaneously into light? I know, you forgot your choices. Does darkness always, 100% of the time, take away or taken away by light? Yes. There's no darkness that can withstand light. Nothing. So then how much more the light of the Creator? So up to us is everything in our life. It's not up to them. Now I just want to share with you, I'm sure you've had something similar. Growing up as a kid, you know how at home you don't like to do the dishes? No, you like to do the dishes? Okay, don't scare me. So of course, in my house I would never do the dishes. But I, maybe like many of you, I had a favorite grandmother, right? It's the one I spent the most time with. It's the one where I would spend, nights. Sometimes I'd sleep at their house, etc. For whatever reason, this was the grandmother I was connected to. Can you relate? Right? That very close relationship. So I remember, I can still picture myself 6, 7 years old, standing on a stool over the sink to do her dishes. And unlike my house, if I was doing the dishes at home, it was drudgery. When I was doing the dishes at my grandma's house, it was a joy. It was a joy just because my grandma was who she was, Grandma Smith. And that is her real name. That's not the alias, right? Grandma Smith, she was just that type of person. And for whatever reason, I just loved to be there. She was always cooking. She was always happy. She was always smiling, no matter what happened to her. Right? So when I was about 8 years old, 9 years old, she developed a disease. I had no idea what it was, but it was called gangrene. Right? So about 10 years old, here was my grandmother who was a cook. She used to cook. That's how my grandfather met her. She used to cook for a place, like a resort in upstate New York for hundreds and hundreds of people. So I remember there was a big loaf of bread that she made, probably like this big, and she's holding me in one arm. I'm probably 8 months old or a year old, something like that. And she's putting the loaf of bread was bigger than me in this picture. But this was my grandmother. Now, after gangrene, what happened? They had to amputate her leg. So they amputated her leg. Did it change her attitude in life? Nope. And I still, to this day, am inspired by this. I remember being at her house. Little did I know. I'd help her pick out her pills. I thought they were candy. She'd take out a bottle. I need one of these, one of these, one of these. And she would take like 25 pills, right? Every day. But for me, I enjoyed being there with her, right? It was just happy. Can you feel happy? Just happy to be with her. She's taking the pills. Was she miserable? No. She was happy all the time. She would get in her wheelchair. And of course, who would push the wheelchair? Of course, me. It was... I don't know, I got superpowers. I remember pushing the wheelchair up a hill once, right? But it was just joyous. This was my grandmother. So she would come and cook. She would still cook in the temple in the sisterhood or whatever, in her wheelchair. She'd wheel herself over to the sink and she'd stand up on one leg and she'd do what she needed there. Then she'd get in the wheelchair and over to the stove. And this is how she did. This is just who she was. And I remember one day, she's laying in bed, right? We're watching TV. So she's on top of the sheets and her leg's sticking out, the one that's missing the bottom part, right? And for me, it didn't even look odd. I don't know why, it just didn't look odd. And then all of a sudden, what did she discover? Picture this. She's laying in bed, right? And all of a sudden they cut apparently below the knee. She didn't realize it. So all of a sudden, she's moving this little flap, her knee, like this. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I'm watching my grandma. She's in bed, laying on the bed, one leg, right? And the other part was going like this. She thought it was hysterical. Didn't realize. But this was my grandmother. This was my grandmother. So to this day, she passed when I was 12 and a half. She left the world. But to this day, she's still impacting me. Because when I think of, yes, I do have two legs. So I think if she was able to do what she was able to do with a leg and a half, what can I complain about? What can I not overcome? So somebody doesn't treat me nice, or something doesn't go my way, or the car is driving too slow in front of me. All I have to do is in a moment think of my Grandma Smith, and I can make it disappear. Because even though it's many, many years since she's been in the physical world, all I have to do is think of her, and all the happiness comes right back. It's just there. Do you have somebody like that? Can you relate to something like that? Just feel the joy now. Whatever is holding your mind in a negative way, let's just start thinking of the happiness and joy. These people have carried themselves through your life into this life. So when we talk about being able to contact the other side, it's not necessarily that we can speak to them per se, or we can look at them, like people claim to do. They can tell you what Grandma Smith is saying right now. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But I will never, ever, and each and every one of us, whether we realize it or not, we're never disconnected from those ancestors. That's what I believe that Bible verse had the most impact for you and I right now. God is always behind us, meaning backing us up, pushing us forward, leading us and guiding us. I do believe, as we'll talk a little more here in a few minutes, that there is God in front of us. I don't want us to deny that part. So we're being pushed from behind in a way. We're being nudged and encouraged from behind to be all that we are created to be. But we also have the ability of looking ahead of us and seeing also what's there. We can also see what's there. So how many of you have people that you may still be holding something against who've passed from the world? I mean, let's be honest, right? Somebody out there. So what do we do with that? They've passed from the world, and most people will say, well, if they're past, they're past. What can you do? But as you and I are coming to realize, are they really gone? If you're still upset at them, or you know somebody who's upset at them, are they gone? No, they're still here with you. Like my Grandma Smith. Even though she's gone many years, she's still here with me. All I have to do is think of her. Every time I have a smile, she's there with me. So then the same thing with the people who've been negative. So one of the things that I feel have been most impactful in my 30-some-odd years in the center is when people are starting to lose. They have a loved one who's at the end. So ideally before, but if you're sitting here after the fact, it still works the same way. We need, from our point of view, to clear ourselves up with those people. We need to clear ourselves. Because, it's like the saying, resentment is the poison one person takes, waiting for the person they're resentful of to get sick. Should I say that again? Resentment or anger or guilt, right? Or hurt is the poison one person is taking, waiting for the person they're resentful or upset or angry at to get sick. Doesn't happen. Person takes the poison, they get sick, not the other person who didn't take it. So you and I can blame, we can justify, we can rationalize why we're upset at those people. But it doesn't make our life better. It creates more chaos in our life. So then we have to repair it. And how do you do that? If you realize your hurt, your resentment, or your happiness and joy are bringing them to you in the present now, then if they are right in front of you now, in your mind's eye, speak to them, tell them. And this is what I tell people as their relatives are leaving the world. Have a conversation, tell them the whole truth. Lay it out. You know what? I didn't like when you said this. I didn't like how you acted. I hated your guts at that moment. But then you clear it up and you say, but I forgive you. I love you and I bless you. And I'm sharing with you my soul's light to repair whatever I may have done to you and to forgive you for what you did to me. It's not about them, it's about us. I want to remove the poison from me that's made me sick. If they don't want to remove their poison, that's their free will, not mine. So we can still speak to those people. We can still have conversations, and you do want to open it up. Because you know what? And I wasn't thinking of going there, but somebody must need it, whether here or here. When a person leaves the world, they see what they did very clearly. There's no more illusion. You and I, while we're in the body, we can justify our reactive behavior. We can justify why we were a little negative to that person, said something negative or whatever it is, because of their behavior. But when a person leaves the world, all of the illusion is gone and they see clearly the impact that their words had, their actions on other people. So now imagine, they see clearly, those people that may have done something to hurt you, they're seeing clearly right now the impact they had on you, the hurt, the resentment, whatever you're holding towards them. So what do you think they really would like to have? They want peace. But how are they going to get peace if they're looking at us here and they're saying, no, I see the harm that I caused you and it's still bothering you. It's still holding you back. So how do we help them and help ourselves at the same time? Tell them off. Tell them off. Tell them, when you did that, I couldn't stand you. I resented you no end. It bothered me. But you know what? Now that I'm coming to this awareness, I send you light. I send you light of forgiveness. I forgive you for what you did. They're waiting. They're begging us for that. Why do you think it keeps coming to your mind? Because they're speaking to you and unconsciously you just think of it. But of course, because it was hurtful, you're remembering the hurt. So then clear it out. Because the hurt is not who we are. The hurt is not what the Creator set us up for. It's not supposed to be ours. We're not supposed to be blocked. The Creator created us perfect. The Creator gave us its perfection. So we have to start speaking to those people. Speak to those souls, the good and the bad. I talk to my grandmother. I talk to my mom and dad. I've gone through this process. And if something comes up again, I go through it again. Something that I remember I did to them, or something they did to me. There was a time, and it was interesting, we're here in Florida. After my mom died, it took me about 6 months to start getting involved in spirituality, looking into things beyond the five senses. So I was brand new to this idea of reincarnation, the other side, the soul living on, things like that. And I'm alone in the house I grew up in. My brother had moved out, my sister had moved out, and it was just me, meanwhile, while we're selling the house. And I'm watching TV, and there's a show, and I don't remember, this has got to be 1977. There was a show about a plane that crashed here in the Everglades. I don't know if you know the story, but apparently there was something wrong mechanically, so the navigator of the plane went into the belly of the plane to try and fix something, and it crashed, right? So they said that they took apart the plane, and whatever was still good, they put in other airplanes as repair parts. But people would report seeing the ghost of that navigator in the plane that had the part from that crashed plane. Do you know that story? Well, now you do. So here I am, I'm watching that story, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, maybe I can contact my mom. I mean, she just left. It can't be more than 6-8 months now. So I remember I'm in the house, and it was a nice-sized house. So I'm there alone. That's the key. So I look up and I go, Mom, come, show yourself to me. I want to see you. And about 10 seconds later, I thought to myself, wait a second. If she really showed up in front of me, I would probably faint out of shock, even though it was my mom. So I said like this, much to my regret to this day. I said, you know what, Mom? No. I love you. It's okay. Don't show up. Because I couldn't imagine how I would respond. So to this day, I haven't yet seen, except in dreams that way, I haven't seen her, as some people say, that they've actually seen, brought that apparition or whatever, but she's constantly with me. All the good things that she taught me, but also as I'm sharing with you, and that's I'm sharing you from my experience. The things that I started to remember over the years that either I did to her or she did to me, I went through the process. It works. It's amazing how much heaviness it will take off you. And yes, the thing that's the hardest for us is to tell them off. Because of course, especially either they're at the end of this life or they're already on the other side, there's that negative voice in our head says, well, you don't want to think bad about them. You don't want to say anything bad. But meanwhile, what are we doing? We're holding the resentment, we're holding the hurt, we're holding the anger, and it's hurting us and it's hurting them. And that negative voice that is our challenger, our opponent, we call it here in the center, is winning and taking our energy. It's taking our blessings. It's taking our light force, because we don't want to say to those people, well, at that moment I hated you. At that moment I resented you. Or that thing I did, it was because something that, whatever it is. Say it and then clear it. And then I forgive you. And then I love you, etc. But clean it out. Clean out your closets. Make space for the light and the blessing that the Creator gave you to be revealed. Because the Creator already gave us everything. Already gave us. The second part of today, I want to bring that part up. The Bible says in its simplicity, how are we created? Were we created by the plants, the animals, and all the things that were created by God? Or were we created by God? You're not sure? By God. We were created by God. And what does it say? In the image and likeness. So which image? Yeah, do any of us look alike? Which image are we created? Which image? And then, isn't it paradoxical? The image and likeness, but then it says on Mount Sinai with the Ten Commandments, make no image of God. Hello? So we're the image and likeness, but we're not supposed to I see. God is allowed to make an image and likeness, right, of itself, but not us. So these are the contradictions or the complexities that Kabbalah answers. Because we have the blueprint of the universe called the Zohar. And it just says very simply, the image and likeness means we have the same power in our level as the Creator has in the quantum level. Did the Creator create all the universe? Yes or yes? Yes. So what do you and I create every moment of every day? We create our universe. Every human being on earth is a world to themselves. Do you think, how many of you had any disagreement about something in the world with anybody else? You have a disagreement? You're looking at politics in America. You're looking at the economy. You're looking at a business opportunity. You're looking through the, I was going to say the newspaper, but who does that anymore? You're looking online, one person. You're looking online for a movie. Right? So you're already having a discussion. Do you want to see the romantic? Do you want to see the Western? Do you want to see the spy movie? Do you want to see this or that? Right? So two people who even love each other having a difference of opinion which movie to go see. Yes? You've been there? So why? Why do you have a difference of opinion? The movie's the movie. Because you have your consciousness, they have their consciousness. You have your perspective of the moment, they have their perspective of the moment. We are constantly creating our own world. The sad part is, until we come to Kabbalah, we don't realize that. The world is what the world is, and then we just deal with it. So here, what's the first thing we affirm? Consciousness is everything. So when I'll change my consciousness, I can change my world. The last 20 years, now they call it the law of attraction. Like attracts like, right? Is it brand new? No, it's been going on since day one. Cause and effect, like attracts like. So, when we'll change our consciousness, we will see the world differently. And that's the beauty. But meanwhile, what did we do? The Creator created us perfect. Where is our perfection? It's inside. Metaphorically, what the Zohar explains, there's a supernal perfect us. Somewhere in that metaphysical upper world, there's a perfect Chaim. There's a perfect each one of us. Are we connected to it constantly? Trick question. Yes, we are. But is the valve to draw it into our lives always open? Is your sink constantly connected to all the reservoir of water, whatever it's connected to? Yes or yes? But how much comes out of the faucet into your sink? Only what you'll open up to, but it's all there. Our supernal perfect self exists. But meanwhile, most of it or some of it is separate from us because we've kept the valve closed. We still believe in our limitations. So we've stuck ourselves in a less than eternal bliss. We've stuck ourselves. So the Zohar put it this way. I read this 2 weeks ago. It says very simply, when we have caused exile, distance from the Creator, that's what exile means, distance from the Creator and our full 100% blessing, then it says, the king, referring to the Creator, yes, it leaves us. Not it left us. If the Creator is infinite, where could it go to leave us? Nowhere. Everywhere we go, what's there? The Creator. The Creator is everywhere, so it cannot leave us. We have left it. But it says when the Creator goes, because we're in exile, it leaves with us its pledge, like its collateral, called the Holy Spirit, or the light of the Creator that's inside of us. So that we are constantly attached to it. And then when we will repair our blockages, it will come back. It uses the analogy of like a friend. You have two people who are good friends, right? But one is like going away or whatever, and the other one say, well, how can I get you back? How do I make sure that you'll always come back to me? He says, you know what? I'm going to leave you some of my valuables. I'll leave it in your house so you'll know that I will always come back to you to connect to my valuables. And that's the light in our soul that the Creator left us. So even though we're not yet at our 100%, it does exist. And it's there. And all we have to do is act upon it, and the Creator will be back with us, so to speak. But we have to remove the blockage. It's not up to anyone else. We have to realize, yes, the pledge of the Creator is inside of us. Our perfection is there, but we have to start behaving that way. We have to start opening our minds to accept the fact that it is there, that we have it, that there's things. How is it that a person under traumatic experience, you see these every once in a while, somebody working on a car, the car falls, the person looks like or is trapped under the car, and what do people do? All of a sudden they have superhuman strength, they pick up the car, they move it, and they pull out their loved ones. 5 minutes after the fact, they're looking and say, what happened? How did they do that? Because in that moment, what did they draw upon? They drew upon the power of the Creator within them. Why? Because they forgot that they've accepted limitation. They forgot that the world has told them they cannot do that. How many cannots have happened in the last 200 years? Forget thousands of years. Do you know in 1898, can you picture life 1898? Would you like to live that lifestyle? So in 1898, the head of the United States Patent Office told the Congress, you might as well close down the patent office because everything that could be invented has been invented. A very foresighted person, right? Very creative and imaginative. I mean, think of where we would be with people like that. But there are always people who are the inventors, as we call them, or the creators of things. Those are the people who see beyond what's real now. They get a vision of what? What's already there. There's nothing we are inventing. There are things that we are uncovering into existence. One of the examples I like in the classes that I use often, your cell phone. You have a cell phone? Anyone here with a cell phone? Go back 2,000 years. How many cell phones were there? But did not the cell phone exist 2,000 years ago? Careful how you answer. Of course it did, but nobody knew how to uncover it, to bring it into the physical world. All the laws of science that make a cell phone, did they exist 2,000 years ago? 5,000 years ago? 14.5 billion years at the Big Bang? They existed. Because we didn't see them didn't mean they didn't exist. Scientists just uncovered those laws layer by layer. All the physical material that makes up your cell phone, did it exist 14 billion years ago in the Big Bang? Yes, but it took 14 billion years to uncover the way to put them together to make a cell phone. So you and I are sitting in various challenges in our life. What already exists that we've allowed ourselves not to believe? My talent, my capability, our abilities, our hidden talents are already existent to be able to solve every problem and any situation that comes to our life. Because it comes to our life coincidentally, but not randomly. It comes to our life coincidentally with what I'm ready to receive, what I'm ready to uncover of my supernal self. I have a student just told me recently, she's always been one of those people who will not speak up. Right? She just likes things to go smoothly, everything goes smoothly, right? So at work, nothing's going smoothly, but she doesn't want to speak up. Right? Why? Because her boss, she doesn't think her boss is, willing to listen, to help, because she's seen certain things. But remember, who sees the world? We see the world as we are. So she's looking at her boss. She's saying her boss is not very receptive, seems even to be a little jealous because this woman has a much bigger background in this business than her boss. But she likes the job she's in and she wants to be in the job she's in and she doesn't want her boss's job. But she's perceived recently that the boss is a little worried about some of the things she's doing because maybe her boss will want to replace her. You follow the picture? Okay. So she's learning Kabbalah and she finally realized, you know what? It's my correction. If I have the blockage of not standing up for myself, I have to stand up. So she's using her tools. She's scanning the Zohar. She's sending light to their boss. And one day she just walked into the boss's office and she said, look, I'd like to have a conversation. Peacefully, not accusative, whatever. Basically to just share what she perceives and say, look, I'm not after your job. I want this to work between you and me, and I want it to work for the goodness of the business. And she shared all her thoughts. And she says the boss was suddenly open. Thank you for telling me. It's so great. I'm so happy you told me. Even to the fact that within 2 days sent another email. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the fact you came into the office. And yes, I definitely want to work together because I see what we can do together to make this business grow. So the fact she took away her blockage, she also accessed the soul of this other person and awakened it in her. Because remember, even if we think that other person is mean, rotten, and nasty, we will say often, we will hear that phrase, they have no soul. You ever said that about someone or heard someone say, that person, they're so mean, they're so nasty, they have no soul. No such thing. Everyone is created by the Creator with a soul that's perfect. All we have to do is access it. So she was able to access it by scanning the Zohar, sending light, and going in for the good of the bigger picture. It wasn't just for her, she was going into her boss. Because she's learned from Kabbalah, it has to be about helping other people. It has to be about manifesting and reflecting, shining the light of your soul. Because that's the only way we'll get the blessing. So that's what she did. She was shining her light on this other person and woke up the other person. You and I are sitting here with hidden talents, power, and ability that we've allowed ourselves not to believe. We've allowed ourselves to put ourselves down. We have to stop. Stop now. Stop it. Right? Just stop it. Stop it. Let me ask you this. I want you right now, we're going to do a little experiment. You ready? Okay. I don't know. I'm trusting you'll do the same thing, okay? People watching us around the world here. That's for me is the most difficult thing for me to do is to teach over the camera here because I like having the interaction with people. So I want you now for the next 20 seconds not to think of pink elephants. Okay? Don't think of pink elephants. All right? Make sure you're not thinking of pink elephants. Hello, I said, don't think of them. I see you're thinking of them. So now, right? I'm resentful, I'm upset, I don't believe I have power, capability, etc. And we keep saying, no, I'm not going to think I don't have the ability. I'm not going to think I don't have the ability. What am I thinking about? The pink elephant. So how do you change that? If I keep saying to you, I don't want you to think of pink elephants, don't think of pink, how do you avoid it? Think what? Yeah, think about green zebras. Think about blue giraffes. Think about something else. Focus your mind. So don't just think, I don't have the talent, I don't have the ability, and I'm going to... No, of course I do. No, think of the talent, ability. Think of the light of the Creator, what He gave you. All we have to do is connect and we change. Why do we read in the Bible the story of Avraham and Sarai? Go back and look at it. And I'm not telling you have to know the Bible or whatever, but these are powerful stories for our edification. Avraham, that was his name, right? His father was an idol worshiper, a leading idol worshiper. He realized he had an awakening. No, there is one Creator. In fact, I don't think we ever said this, or I explained it. Abraham, right? They say Abraham believed in one God and not all the polytheism. Some of you know that. In 2018 terms, what did he really come to understand? Because you and I understand, is the light of the Creator may be the same in the plants and the animals and the human beings and the rocks and the chairs you're sitting in and everything else. But thousands of years ago, they would say, no, there is a unique God in the chair. How can we understand that in our terms? What's the difference between the chair and the clothes you're wearing? Are they made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons, both of them? Yes? So then what's the difference? What's the difference between the chair you're sitting on and your clothes? What's the difference between the clothes and the flesh of your body? Is the flesh of your body made of protons, neutrons, and electrons? Yes. So thousands of years ago, they just understood that the plants, every plant had its own unique deity, right, that made it grow its way, and animals, etc., and the stars and the planets. What Abraham really came to understand is, no, there's one quantum light force that pervades all of those things, that empowers all of those things. It is one, but it manifests as grass, as roses, as an elephant, as a giraffe, as you and me, flesh and blood, as the chair, etc. It's one, but it manifests in different way. So he brought the first quantum physics into being. That's really what he was saying. It's all one. So when he reached that understanding, and he started to connect to his higher supernal self, then what does the Bible teach us? God blessed him. Because up to that point, he knew he and Sarah, or Sarai, were not meant to have children. With their blockages, their spiritual blockages, no children. So when they reconnected to the light, when they repaired their blockages, so it says, then God blessed them and changed their name to Avraham, Abraham, and Sarah. Changed their name. And what happened when they changed their name? Lucky for us, they had kids. Right? Changed their name, they changed their consciousness, they changed their destiny. You and I can do the same thing, but we have to realize not only in us is the perfect supernal self, but also in everybody else. The person you don't like, the person who you know that you love maybe having conflict with other people, they also have perfection in them. You and I, as students in Kabbalah, we have the capability of changing those people. And I'll kind of finish with this story. I had a student recently was telling me, she's studying here, her sister and the sister's son, the nephew, having conflict. Terrible conflict, fight, whatever, big separation between them. So she's been here, she's seen miracles with the Zohar and different things. So what does she do? She gives a pocket Zohar, one to the nephew and one to the sister. Just ask them to hold it. Just keep it with them. Now, she's scanning her Zohar, she's awakening the light of the Creator in her, and she's sending it out to them. And then she tells me, after all this conflict, on Mother's Day, what did the son do? 12 roses and a loving note to his mother. You don't look impressed. Think what it could do for you. Think what it can do in your life. That's what I would like to ask of you now. Think what can change about you and therefore change in your life. That's what we're here to do. You want to be guided from above. You want to be in contact with those souls. Let's look at it this way. We can be in touch with the people who've passed from the world, but what about the part of us that's also disconnected? Isn't that almost like a dead or a soul on the other side? The part of us that we haven't completed yet. So today is the day. They call it Memorial Day weekend. Let's wake up our memory, not just of appreciation for the people who've passed to make America what it is today, but what about the people who've left us and left an impression on us? Let's start with using their good or bad for our benefit. And then let's start appreciating the fact that the Creator put perfection inside us, and that in a blink of an eye, we can wake that up in us. All we have to do is one thing: believe that we have it inside of us, and the more strongly we believe it, how will we behave in every situation in our life? Think about it, like this person did. When you awaken the light in somebody else, as you awaken it in you, miracles of transformation will take place. You will no longer be Avraham or Sarai, you will be Abraham and Sarah. You'll be able to connect and see the big picture. You will be able to bring everything that's ever happened to you into unity and oneness to make your life better. Because there's only one common factor in everything you've ever experienced, from the moment you were born to this moment today. One common factor. You. So today, as you change you, as we change ourselves, we make our world different. And as even just this group, and the people watching, if every one of us made a quantum change in who we are today, we could see the world change overnight. We could see the world become what it's already existing as, just covered up. It's up to you and I to remove the covers of chaos, hatred, violence, abuse, negativity, etc. It's up to us to remove the covers. And as we remove the covers, then just like this son and this mother that were able to make up, and the son was able to send the dozen roses, and they were able to start creating a greater unity, so too can you and I make manifest in every one of the 7.5 billion people the light of the Creator and the awareness that every other person is a part of themselves. And when you and I know, and they know, that every person is a piece of themselves, then the only thing we're going to want to do for each other is love your neighbor as yourself. And it's on that day that peace will reign in the world, and we will all have our eternal bliss that's been set out for us by the Creator. God bless. Okay, so what we'd like to do today, if you're new, the center is a charitable organization. We do have a mission. We talked a little just recently about the Zohar. This is the pocket Zohar I was just telling you about, right? If nobody else, if you don't have one, it's a good thing to get one, but this is the key. We believe, and I could go on, as many of you know, for hours and hours about the miracles that come from this, because these books radiate the light of the Creator. It's just that simple. And I don't think I told you, and I guess it's okay to tell you, but you know what's been going on around the Middle East recently. So we have students who've been willing to take risks, I mean really risking their lives in many ways, to get Zohar into Iran, to help change the energy of what's going on over there, right? I told you the stories of North and South Korea, told you now the stories of the Middle East and different places around the world. That's it. It is so simple. For me, in 32 years in the center, has been my biggest frustration, I must tell you, that these things don't look like anything but a book. If we could make them look like a crystal, right? Then everybody would say, oh yeah, I get it, crystals, channel energy. But you look at a book, what's the first thing you think about a book? One, I got to read it. And two, I got to understand it to get anything from it, right? If you give me a book in Greek, I can open it up and I can look at it, but I'm not going to understand a word, so what will I benefit? But you and I, unless you're brand new, have come to understand that these books, because of the Aramaic letters, they channel the infinite light of God. And that's all we're responsible to do. Bring the light to bear on the world and let the light take away the darkness. Let the light open up the heart and souls of people. So that's the most important thing that the center's doing. We do through Spiritual Sunday, we do through the classes, we help people to understand the technology. But all the technology in the world is still useless without energy behind it. Take the greatest computer on earth and disconnect it from a power source. What good is it? Scrap metal. No. You put the power source in it, and it's the greatest computer on earth. So what could be greater than the soul that's put inside each and every one of us? So even just these little books, right, will start to awaken the soul of people. So your contributions and what you share with us is to help us spread the Zohar and the wisdom of Kabbalah, that people will understand that this book actually can change your life and the world around us. And with the way the world's going, it needs us more than ever. So that's why we take these few moments to do a blessing on our offering, because I want it to bring you more, right? So that you'll be blessed more, you'll be able to support the center more, that we can finish the job. Because there's no reason why we can't see peace on earth tomorrow. It's just enough light in the world, that's all it takes. Enough light will remove all the darkness. It's your help, your support, the people that you share this with. Oh, and by the way, it just reminded me, we have a new program called the Grassroots Program for people to be able to get these and hand them out to their friends. So if you've seen the little green boxes and you didn't know what they were, so because of generous donors like you and people around the world, we are able to put 20 of these in a box, right, with little business cards for people to buy for $42 and then go hand them out. A person goes to the dentist, give it to the dentist, right? Hand it out to your family, friends, or people who don't have them, and simply tell them, have a discussion. There's a few people in this room who do this quite frequently, and they'll tell you, just take it and you just offer it. I'd like to give you a gift that I believe will bring you blessings and peace and harmony in your life, and I'd like you just to carry it with you. How many people are going to refuse that? That's all it takes. Just let them carry it with it. We're going to do our meditation, but it radiates the light of the Creator. So if a person's radiating the light of the Creator, what are they attracting more of? The light of the Creator and all the goodness. Okay? So let's take a moment. If you hold your offering in your hands, and we'll bless our offering. Then we'll do our meditation and our closing song. So just your offering. Just in gratitude and appreciation for all the Creator's given us to be able to have this, to make this offering. An awakening in our consciousness, a bigger picture, that we do have the power to impact 7.5 billion people. And we're opening our heart now, especially through the people that we love, that we are connected with, to give us the strength to bring light and blessings to all the people in the world and the people that up to this moment we've held blockages against. So we know that this gift goes out to spread the Zohar, spread Kabbalah, reach out to billions of people to let them benefit as we have benefited from this wisdom and this technology. We have gratitude in our understanding that as we are better stewards, more open channels of all that the Creator's given us, talent, abilities, capabilities, we draw on our perfect and pure light being, supernal self, and bring it into greater and greater manifestation with every act of sharing, kindness, love, generosity, compassion, forgiveness. And we send this out into the world to awaken the hearts and souls of every person on earth, to bring peace in our time now. And we say together, and now we'll do our meditation. What you see in front of you is one of what's called the 72 names of God. So as we mentioned now, how big is God? Infinite. So how many names does God have? because a name just represents an attribute or a characteristic. So in one hand, every one of us are a name of God, but obviously there are certain quantum connections. For those unfamiliar, on your left, that chart over there is the entire 72 names of God, and the Kabbalists have explained each and every one of them. They're simply like function buttons on a computer, our soul already programmed to accept the activation by those function buttons, and what you see in front of you is one of them for, as we've talked about, guidance from above, whether it's the souls of the departed loved ones that we want to either enhance the connection, maintain the connection, or repair the connection with, or just our supernal self. So they're made up of Hebrew or Aramaic letters because those are the DNA of our soul. They are the DNA of protons, neutrons, and electrons. They are the DNA of everything in the universe, the primal force. So the names of the letters from right to left, Chet, Bet, Vav. Just that you'll also know the name. Most important is to understand the shapes are primordial, so they shine a unique light. So just look at it. Have a good image in your mind's eye of those letters, those shapes, those energy entities. And then we're going to use them in our meditation to activate more of our higher self. Okay? Get a good look. And if I can ask you to close your eyes, sitting comfortably in the chair, hands on your lap, feet flat on the floor. Taking in a few deep breaths, breathing in the breath of life through the nose, hold it for a moment, exhale through your mouth, creating a conscious circulation of not only the air through the breath, but also the light of the Creator that it contains. Allowing yourself to relax into the arms of the Creator, the infinite light that exists in and around you. Just feel the warmth and the love. Opening your heart and soul. Releasing any false beliefs and focusing on that pure and perfect light beingness, your supernal perfection, your image and likeness of God. And in your mind's eye, let's see together Chet, Bet, Vav, allowing those energy forces to reach into your soul, strengthening your connection to your perfection. All that the Creator infused in your soul now being awakened to a higher and higher level. Your eyes, your heart, your mind, your soul, perceiving more of that perfection, the greater you. Strengthening your desire to bring it into manifestation in your life through greater godlike actions, bringing light to bear on the darkness in your life and in the world around you. Chet, Bet, Vav. sending it out to reach to those who have gone before you, sending them forgiveness and apology, healing and repairing your connection through them also to your true supernal self. Chet Bet Vav. Sending out to each and every human being on the planet this energy of perfection and reaching into their heart and soul. Awakening their conscious recognition of the Creator within them, helping them to remove the darkness from their eyes so they also see this picture of perfection of their supernal self and perfection in every person around them. And together we hold this vision of peace and harmony among every person on the planet. Love your neighbor as yourself, reigning throughout humanity. Let's hold this vision together, the world filled and surrounded with light. And taking one more deep breath, to anchor it into our vision, our consciousness, our heart and soul, and slowly exhale and open your eyes.